Cumference and the Off-the-Charts Dessert, A Math Adventure by Cindy Neuschwander, illustrated by Wayne Geehan. Oh dear, muttered Lady Di of Ameter as she rushed down the castle corridor. She ran headlong into her husband, Cumference. What's the hurry? He asked her. The castle cook is in bed with the chills, she answered, and the harvest fair is just around the corner. We need to select the annual harvest suite. We'll need someone to do the baking, too, said Cumference. The cook mentioned 2 bakers in town who might help us, Lady Di said. One is a woman named Pia from the French city of Chartres. The other is a man named Bart Graf, whose grandparents moved here years ago from Germany. Excellent, said Cumference. Let's invite them to the castle. Later that day, Cumference and Lady Di sat in their banquet hall with the 2 bakers. Murmured Cumference, his mouth full of quince pie. Thank you, Cumference, Pia said, looking down her slender nose at Bart. Lady Di bit into one of Bart's cream cookies. Heavenly, she declared. Thank you, Lady Di, said Bart, lifting an eyebrow at Pia. Cumference and Lady Di tasted all the desserts, but could not decide which treat was the best. Since the harvest fair is for everyone, Cumference began, let's have the townsfolk choose. Yes, agreed Lady Di, a contest. Tomorrow offer free samples of your top 4 treats. The townsfolk shall vote for their favorite of the 8 selections. The bakers hurried back to their shops. Clouds of flour dust billowed out of the 2 bakeries as Pia and Bart worked furiously. Pia made quince, mince, mustard, and apple pie. Ah, she said, smelling their delicious aromas, the townsfolk will love these. Meanwhile, Bart was busy mixing and molding his doughs. He made cream, honey, ginger, and nut cookies. Wooden molds were scattered everywhere. Something for everyone, he exclaimed, pulling the tasty treats out of the oven. The next morning, both bakers met in front of their shops to give away their sweets. Free desserts, called out Bart. What's your #1 delight? Get your free pastries here, Pia countered. Tell me your top choice. At the end of the day, Lady Di approached the bakers eagerly and asked, Do we have a winner? Pia frowned. I collected the votes in my head, but there were too many to remember. Same for me, added Bart sadly. Let's extend the contest one more day, said Lady Di kindly. The next day, Pia said to herself, I'll make a short line in some flour dust by each kind of pie every time someone makes a choice. Then I'll tally up the marks at the end of the day. Bart also made a decision. I'll line up dough pinches by each of the 4 types of cookie molds to show each vote. After the day is over, I'll count them up. In this way, both bakers would track their votes, and the most popular dessert could be determined. The bakers greeted Cumference and Lady Di after the second day of the contest. Well, asked Cumference, which treat is the winner? Both bakers turned to their day's count. Away! Bart yelled at his dog, who was gulping down dough pinches. Today's choice is gone with the slurp of a tongue, he grumbled. Meanwhile, Pia discovered her cat tiptoeing on her flowery table. Shoo! She cried. The animal jumped down, brushing away Pia's tally marks. Today's result's gone with the flick of a tail, she lamented. We need a decision soon, said Lady Di worriedly. Since tomorrow night is our son Radius's birthday party, please report your results the morning after next. Both bakers gratefully agreed to the plan. Free samples here, Pia called energetically the next morning. What's your favorite? People voted for their top dessert. If they chose a pie, Pia placed small sweetmeats, 1 for each vote, around the edge of a large dough round. She used yellow candies for custard, red for quince, green for apple, and brown for mince. These are much better than my flowery marks, she thought, because they can't be brushed away. Bart was equally busy. If you select one of my cookies as your favorite treat, hand me a matching cookie mold, he instructed folks. He began to stack up towers of the wooden blocks as the townspeople passed molds to him. Oh ho! Chortled Bart to himself. Cookie molds are much better for counting than dough scraps. My dog won't eat them. It was late evening by the time Pia and Bart moved their votes inside their bakeries. After such a busy day, both were glad they had until the next morning to report their results. Once inside, Pia quickly arranged the candies by color and scored her dough round into sections. Wonderful, she thought. There are 30 votes for custard pie, 15 for quince, 10 for apple, and 5 for mince. Meanwhile, Bart counted his molds. 30 for ginger cookies, 22 for honey, 6 for cream, and 2 for nut. Ginger is my top cookie, he thought. I hope 30 votes is enough to win. That night, both bakers tossed and turned, unable to sleep despite their exhaustion. The same question kept them awake. Will my dessert be the winner? By midnight, Pia and Bert decided they needed to know the final results of the other baker. Pia tiptoed over to Bart's. She found the towers of wooden molds and counted them. 30 for ginger cookies, she whispered. That's the same as my custard pie. Tempted, she reached for a ginger cookie and clatter, clunk! The wooden molds tumbled to the floor. Meanwhile, Bart was inside Pia's bakery. He had counted all the candies in her pie dough round. Oh no, he said, the same number as my top treat. He was sampling one of Pia's custard pies when the loud clunk from his own shop startled him. Bart's elbow knocked into Pia's pie dough round. As Pia's plate smashed and Bart's molds crashed, the bakers dashed out into the street. Oomph! They ran straight into each other. Ah! They screamed. We're tied! Stammered Bart. Neither of us will win, cried Pia. Bart tugged at his beard. We need a plan. All through the rest of the night, the two bakers worked. The next morning, they stood once again in Sir Cumference and Lady Di's banquet hall. So, began Sir Cumference, what are the results? Custard pie was my most popular, said Pia. She showed Sir Cumference and Lady Di a picture she had drawn. Bart then said, ginger cookies were most popular for me. He showed them a picture he had made. So we have a tie, Lady Di said, frowning. This is most difficult, said Sir Cumference. We need to choose the harvest sweet. That is why I present you with something new, answered Pia. It's called crème de la crème. It's off the charts, exclaimed Lady Di. It's spicy and sweet, creamy and crumbly. Pia of Chartres, you win, cried Sir Cumference. I cannot accept your offer, she said. Bart cleared his throat. We created this together, mixing the two favorites, custard pie and ginger cookies. Lady Di laughed. So, 2 bakers are better than 1? Always, said Sir Cumference, reaching for another treat. For many years afterward, the 2 bakers created new treats and made old favorites. They always drew pictures of pie dough circles and cookie mold stacks to remind them of what people liked best. And this way, they knew what and how much they should bake each day. Bart called Pia's round drawings pie Chartres after her famous pies and her beloved city in France. And Pia named Bart's drawings Bart Graphs, like his name. Today we call them pie charts and bar graphs.